I just had two comments, Leo, just which I talked to Justine about, but under adjournment, it says Bruce Davidson, which is a proud Scottish name, but I have Brian Davidson. For the Celtic Irish part is the duo in that one. So if we could just change that, which I talked to Justine. And then also the select board being one word, I think in Concord we use it, we separate out the select board. So just the recommendation, just to be consistent across the town committees, to just use select board as a two words.
And I did make those changes, so I don't know if anyone has any other edits as well.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, let's go for a roll call approval. So again,
Do you want to make a motion? Should we make a, can I make a motion to accept the October 6th, 2021 minutes with the edits as mentioned?
that sounds like the right thing to do. We did it. Okay, so let's do a roll call.
Second.
We need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Rebecca.
All right. Bruce Davidson. Oh, excuse me. Brian Davidson.
I accept. Here.
Okay. Rebecca Purcell.
Aye.
Rod Rydell. Rod?
Aye.
Okay. Jerry Susi?
Aye.
Okay. Leo Carroll, aye. Okay, item A4, review calendar. Future proposed meetings. Proposed meeting for December 1st, 2021. So I think we've got this covered twice, so we don't have to do anything now. And then the next item is a discussion of possible actions on the agenda. So once again, I've got two pieces of equipment here and I don't have the agenda in front of me, but
So Leo, that's the start of the next part of the agenda. So I think the first, so that would go to the CPW staff report.
okay. Aaron, you're on.
Good evening, committee members and guests. My name is Aaron McCloskey. I'm the superintendent for Highway and Grounds, Concord Public Works. A couple of notes here from the staff and the department. During the month of October, we held one full burial with 18 cremations and we sold 12 single grave lots. Just wanted to remind all committee members that the town is hosting a effective governance workshop program this Saturday. It'll be held via Zoom. It's from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Is there also possible, is there in person as well? Or is it just Zoom? I think maybe just Zoom, but the information's on the town website, and Justine can send out a link to all committee members, and anyone who's interested in attending can do so. A couple of notes. Tish Hopkins Cemetery Supervisor sent out a news and notice to the town, anyone who's just signed up for that service, notifying them that they were starting preparations for Veterans Day. So basically clean up throughout the cemetery, kind of picking up decorations, flowers, pumpkins, anything that might have been put out there. And anyone who's interested in sign up to receive cemetery news can do so on the town website. Couple items, we're starting the fall cleanup. Einstein's Solutions, the town's contract with the Foreign Landscaping Services of the cemetery. They've started the fall cleanup, so folks might see those crews working in the cemetery. Daedalus is a contractor the town hired to clean the Melvin Memorial. That was completed last month, so anybody would like to go take a look at that, that has been cleaned and completed. We have the signs. We received the signs we've discussed at multiple meetings in the past that we were going to install, just kind of notifying visitors to the ceremony or visitors to the cemetery that they are kind of active grounds. We've received those and those will be going in this week. The town has renewed the contract, second-year contract with Einstein Solutions. We'll continue to perform landscaping services for the town for the next fiscal year. And just a quick update, Headstone Restoration project is still ongoing. We're working with the contractor to through some dates, and there's been some scheduling conflicts and weather, et cetera. And we're trying to work with them on that. So, and that is with all that I have for updates on Tish. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, just that we have the Veterans Day ceremony next Thursday, 7:45 a.m. If
Great.
anybody wants to come, it's a nice ceremony.
Thanks, Tish. Yeah, actually, I do have a couple of other items here. Working with our engineering division, there's a couple of projects that the committee has mentioned that we've discussed in the past. Stone wall assessment, we decided we're going to be hiring a third-party engineering company to come in. We worked with a professional engineer consultant on other projects in town. We're going to bring them in and do the assessment on some of the walls, because some of the walls in town are over 4 feet tall, which require professional engineer to assess those. So we felt that was the most appropriate. So that'll be going on over the winter. We're going to be completing a survey of the columbarium. We're getting quotes for that work as we speak, and we're working to also work through the mapping. Tish is going to be working with one of our CAD folks in engineering to finalize some of the mapping so we can get that project closed out as well. So those are some of the things from the department that we're actively still working on. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Erin, this is Rebecca. Can you tell me again what your comment was about the stone walls? I think you said a particular company is doing that.
So we're going to do an assessment on the walls. I think that was something that was requested by the committee at previous meeting to kind of look at the stone walls, come up with a plan for some of them need some repointing, rebuilding, et cetera.
Okay.
And we're going to be hiring one of our engineering consulting firms that works with our engineering division to come in and work with us on that.
Okay, so this is consultation then.
Correct.
I just missed, thank you.
And then the end product will be some type of a report that we can reference and prioritize the walls and prioritize the work. Some of them require different amounts of work and obviously various amounts of funding to complete that work. So
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Aaron, this is Leo. Does that in any way affect the patch up work that was going to be done on those smaller walls down by the Melvin Memorial?
No, I think that'll be included in the assessment as we kind of move into the next season. I think there's a lot of work throughout the cemetery and the walls that needs to be done. So those walls will be included in that assessment of what needs to be done.
I was under the impression we were going to handle this differently, though. I thought those ones that had the immediate problem right by the Melvin Memorial, the small one, was just going to have some patchwork done to hold it in place as a temporary fix. So that plan has been abandoned?
I wouldn't say it's been abandoned. There's some stones that need to be reset and replaced, and we'll do that work. But I think we're looking at the entire wall and reconstructing a wall that far exceeds any money that we currently have in the budget. So.
All right. Yeah. Okay. That's what I was hoping. Okay, good. And the other thing I wanted to say is I've seen that we had a lot of branches come down during that last storm. It was ferocious. And I saw that one broke a grave. You probably saw that Tish up by Author's Ridge, Wheeler family grave. It's an old one from the 1800s that got busted. So I think they're going to have their hands full picking up those broken branches this year. Some very good sized ones came down, and I don't know how you get around this other than a regular trimming of all the trees, and I don't think that's not a realistic expectation budget wise. But it's unfortunate. We just seem to have to accept that certain graves will end up getting busted by these falling branches.
Yeah, that was a significant storm that came through the region, last Tuesday. Our department, cemetery is one operation within our division. We also have a park and tree and highway division, a group within our division, and we responded to, I think, over 28 calls for trees or large branches down, blocking the roadway, blocking the right of way. that doesn't include the calls and, the debris that was in the cemetery. So it's something that, townwide we're seeing it, these high wind events, heavy rain events, large branches, trees come down. And unfortunately, they do not last forever. We do what we can to maintain them, and we're continuously pruning trees. We have crews out, weekly, if not every day, in the fall and in the winter seasons, pruning trees throughout town. So we're actively working on it. It's just the number of trees far exceed, what we have for funding and availability. I think it's, what every Commonwealth every community in the Commonwealth struggles with that. So.
So if I got this right, we're not the most important thing in the town? Is that what you're saying? I get it. Actually, I was on a boat off the coast of Virginia when that storm came through, so I understand how ferocious it was, and I'm surprised we didn't lose more trees. So I know that they've got their work cut out for them. Any other questions for Aaron? Rod?
Yes, I do, Leo. Aaron, thanks so much for the update. I do have a couple of questions and requests for clarification. With the assessment of the stone walls, is that going to include even a ballpark estimate for repair or preventative maintenance, whatever it is, to address the issue for each of the walls that are assessed?
Yes.
Okay, so that will include a dollar.
Include an estimate for whatever might be needed. And I think the different walls require different types of maintenance. If you look at some of the smaller walls in the cemetery, and then you look at, an example is the one at Monument Square in front of the old hill.
Right, no, I understand. Yeah, I understand. I just wanted to be whether there was going to be some dollar estimates. That could be very helpful to us if we include some of those walls in some of the areas where we're thinking about asking for a larger grant from a granting agency in addition to town funds. You talked about the columbarium. Is that the columbarium in New Hill burying ground, or the new columbarium that we're intending to build over in the knoll?
The knoll.
Okay, thank you. And with respect to the gravestones that are being repaired or reset, is there a list, Tish, that we have of what those gravestones are? So we could just get a list of, which ones are being taken care of this year?
I think Justine has it.
Yes, we have a
Yeah.
list we could send you.
Yeah, so
We can get that out, sorry.
that would be great. If you could send that to me, because that would be great too. I'm thinking in terms of, using this as evidence that the town is trying to keep up the cemetery when we go to larger sources of larger amounts of money, external sources, to, prove that we're doing as much as we can, but we need some additional help. And then
Rod, I can also send you last year's report. We have a very comprehensive report that we distributed to the previous cemetery committee, if you will. Very comprehensive report that shows kind of before and after photographs of all the headstones that were restored.
oh, I have that. Thank you, Aaron. I do have that, and that's very helpful. And I'm sure that we'll get another one of those this year. But I'm just trying to get an idea of where they are located for the work that's being done this year. And then finally, just to follow up on something that Tish mentioned about the veteran ceremony on the 9th, that I'm just a little confused. Does that include the retirement of the flags?
It's on the 11th. It's Thursday, the 11th.
Yeah.
And it is, it does. It's a small little parade, I guess, from Pritchard Gate, the second gate, up to the parking area for Authors Ridge, and that's where the flags are retired.
Okay, because I ran into a Concord resident today who has a Cub Scout, is a Cub Scout leader, and was interested in having the Scouts, attend that. So
They typically do.
yes,
Yeah.
I directed him to contact you to get the details. Okay, terrific.
Yeah, it's usually planned through public ceremonies, and they typically have the boy and girl and Cub Scouts, Minutemen, the batteries there, select board. Yeah.
Citizen.
Okay. One more follow-up question. I apologize. We had last year we use scouts from Maynard for the flag placement for all of the veterans in the cemetery. Is there any way that we could get the Cub Scout and the Girl Scouts from Concord involved? Or how would we do that?
It was actually the Maynard Elks that put the flags out.
Oh. So they provided the funding for the flags? And-
We buy them. The town of Concord buys the flags. And the Maynard Elks volunteer their time and place them on the graves.
Oh,
Wow.
okay. Maybe we can talk about that in the future to try and get some involvement from some of the Concord organizations as well. To place that.
They've been involved in the past.
I believe, Tish, correct me if I'm wrong, was there a Concord Elks that merged with Maynard Elks? Is that?
Concord merged with Hudson
Okay.
and stopped. Concord used to do it. Concord merged with Hudson and stopped doing it. Maynard wanted to do it. So Maynard's been doing it for 6 years, 5 or 6 years.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, when the Scouts did try a few years ago to get involved with that, but didn't want to continue it.
Okay, thank you.
And Aaron, I have one other follow-up question. Rod said that he was sure that we would get another report from the Gravestone Restoration contractor. Is that part of the contract for them to give us the same type and quality of report for
That
this
was-
contract?
That report was provided by the previous contractor. I think they just did it as part of their deliverable. We will provide our own internal report of before and after photos and what was done.
Okay.
That we received from the
Great.
contractor, something like that's complete.
All right, okay.
What's done.
Thank you.
Inspect everything, make sure it's squared away.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right, now, Mr. Carroll is going to have to try to pull up the schedule on his little device here, unless someone else has got it and can lead me to the next item. No? What is the next item on the agenda?
Leo, the next item on the agenda is a discussion of the request from the Friends of Sleepy Hollow for the event.
Oh, and here they are. Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Hello,
I saw Nancy too. I saw Nancy a second ago. I hope she's still here.
I'm here.
Okay. All right, so are you going? Let's go, roll. What's
Okay.
happening here?
I think you want me to introduce myself and give my address. Was that part of your your?
Well, I
Official
think I read
statement?
that earlier, yes.
Okay, here we go. My name is Kevin Thomas Plazek, joyously residing at 98 Baker Avenue here in town. Thank you for the invitation, which I was able to extend to the 6 members of our collaborative planning committee for the 2022, the 20th celebration of the Friends of Sleepy Hollow, what we intend to make a very significant event. None of what I'm going to say today and will invite them to say also could have taken place without the collaborative work of the 6 of us on this committee. And 4 of us are here, including myself. We have Priscilla White Sturgis, Susan D. and Nancy Riley. Sylvia Sawyer and John Gardella both have very pressing items this afternoon and could not be here. First of all, I had sent on, and I did extend a statement. I did send on to folks who had originally asked for it, the application for the permit. And it was I pretty much detailed it. I'm going to try not to repeat what's on there, but rather to attempt to answer the comments and questions we had received beforehand from your previous meeting, and to amplify those, and to hopefully we engage in a fruitful discussion. These are in no particular order, by the way. I'm just kind of saying them. First of all, we are looking for the date of 2 October 2022 in the afternoon, expectantly the hours starting approximately 1:30, and going perhaps till about 4. We will, as you folks did, if the rain is not heavy, we will run the event as you did for the rededication of the Melvin Memorial. Your day was very significant because it was the appropriate day to do it. If, however, we do hear that torrential rains are projected, and we hope to hear those, get that well in advance, we will make adjustments in rescheduling. We will also be alert to any funerals that may be taking place on that particular day. You asked about parking. Several of us have a pretty good connection with the pastor and vicar of Holy Family Parish. And what we would attempt to ask them, if, since the Sunday liturgy is over well before 12, having begun at 10:30, if we could get clearance to use that parking spot and so advertise it to folks. If needed, we would also arrange for any folks who needed a transportation to provide a minibus, if you will, to take them from the parking lot and to take them back after it's over. Regarding the 2 central focal points, if you will, in the cemetery would be the Melvin Memorial and then the closing at the Hanley Memorial Garden. Our anticipation would be to hire a policeman on Bedford Street so that the crossover there would be easy for folks. I presume we have no control of people parking on Partridge Lane, et cetera. And I suspect they would do that, but we would encourage the general parking at Holy Family Parish Church in the side of the church there. We would, one of the goals that we have is to help people understand the etiquette of the cemetery. And for that reason, anything that we do, we have, and Nancy can talk about this shortly, would use the roadways and the paths of the cemetery, not crossing over grave sites and grassy lanes, et cetera. And that would be a key portion as part of both cemetery etiquette and respect for the cemetery. We would open at Melvin Memorial with a short welcome and a kind of laying out of what the activities are. We are looking seriously at having some guided tours of the cemetery. We have a few people on our board and other folks who have had experience in taking groups around and showing the highlights of the cemetery. We would conclude at the Hanley Commemorative Garden, which, as you know, parenthetically, has recently been upgraded and refurbished, much to our pleasure. And we would have a small reception there, a kind of a concluding point. I understand from the application, if we were to serve any type of refreshments, we need to get a health department permit. Our goal would be to do something very simple, like a individually packaged cookie and a small bottle of water. We would provide receptacles for the disposition of the wrapping and for the recycling of the water bottles. That, I think, is kind of what we have. Most of what we're saying to you, we partially is known to our own board, because this is actually a work in progress. I will tell you, supplementary wise, that we are planning an exciting commemorative booklet to be mailed to every town resident, which will do a couple of things. It will tell our story. It will tell the folks what we have accomplished in the cemetery, working in collaboration with your particular committee, and also provide an acknowledgement to our very committed donors and supporters who have stood with us, many of them, if one could believe it, beginning in 20 years ago and have stayed with us. And we feel the need to acknowledge that and to recognize them. I will stop here and ask Nancy if she could kind of, what we've affectionately called the bingo game for the cemetery. It should not cause any panic to anybody. But Nancy, if you could talk about that, and then my fellow collaborators on the committee can throw in anything they wish, and then we certainly are here to answer any questions. Nancy, do you want to do that?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So in an attempt to create an activity during our 20th anniversary and also to contribute to the education of people in Concord about Sleepy Hollow, partly because I see school groups from other states and towns coming in to explore the cemetery, and our schools don't do that, or at least I haven't seen them do that. I thought that it might be fun to create a bingo game, one for adults, one for children, where people could go out and explore the cemetery and find some interesting, perhaps little known gems in the cemetery, to look at the 1812 era canon and explore Author's Ridge and look for interesting epitaphs. Obviously, this would be very specifically downsized for children, just looking for the letter A or a tree sign or a set of stairs or a faucet. But also, part of this game would be to teach people cemetery etiquette, especially children, what you do in a cemetery and how you act and how you respect things. And so I drew up a game, which Priscilla improved. And specifically, we left out any private cemetery stones so that we wouldn't have any photographs of those. And Priscilla has the...
So I can, if I can do a screen share, I can actually pull this up and you can see the two sides. Is that something I can do? Yes?
I'm seeing a yes.
Yeah, Justine, do the magic.
So can you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this is really just a draft. It's just to give you an idea of what it is we have in mind. This is more of the children, the kids oriented one that's very simple. These things are not the final, what we've necessarily chosen. It's just to give you an idea of the kinds of things we're talking about. So like it can be any flag in the cemetery or any flower in the cemetery. The adult one might get a little bit more complex. We haven't gotten there. We're a whole year away from having to produce this. So this is just to give you an idea of sort of what it would look like. It would be printed on cardstock and handed out, and kids and parents can just walk around the cemetery on their own carrying this. And if they, get a full row and want to report back to us, we might have a little prize that they can get, like maybe a pencil. And then on the back side, again, this is extremely rough. This is not final at all, but wanted to give you an idea that we want to talk about cemetery etiquette. We might do just bulleted sentences. And then I've taken the actual wording off of the signs that are in the cemetery that talk about things we don't want to have happen in the cemetery. And then on the other column, we talk about the Friends of Sleepy Hollow, our mission, and maybe a little paragraph about the history of the Friends of Sleepy Hollow, and then an opportunity always to make a donation. So that is what we have in mind for the bingo game. It's not organized, it's not, it's very fluid. So stop the share there.
Thanks, Sylvia, and thanks, Nancy. Susan, any comments you'd like to throw in?
No, I thought it looked great. That's my comment.
Why don't we, Leo, if it's agreeable to just open to questions, and any of us will be glad to answer them if we haven't been clear. If there are gaps that need to be filled in, please, we're here to engage. The goal would be, ladies and gentlemen, that in our, within the next 2 weeks mailing to our supporters, to our donors, that we would be able to at least state that the date has been firmed up. That Sunday, the 2nd of October, 2022, will be an important facet of our 20th celebration, with events, without going into detail, with events at the cemetery, and that further details would obviously be forthcoming. The booklet will, hopefully, that we get out in early spring, would have a lot of those details. So that's kind of where we are. So we'd like to leave here today with an affirmation of 2 October 2022, if we could. Priscilla, did you have something up?
Only that this is sort of what we'll be putting a card into the annual appeal that is going out in a few weeks, which is what Kevin referred to. And this is this isn't the card, but this graphic appears on the card, and that's what we want to. We've got the date. It's a save the date, and so that's why we need. Covering my mouth, I'm sorry. It's a little urgent that we get the date approved, because we want this to go in the mailing.
Okay, Kevin and company, thank you very much. That was quite interesting. I would like to, ask one thing, and that is that, as far as that list of etiquette in the cemetery and all, I think it's important to talk to Tish about this, because she is there every single day and probably has seen, well, I'm not going to speculate, but she sees a lot of things. So it'd be probably good to, run it past Tish and see if anything has been missed.
Definitely would be run past Tish. It hasn't been written yet. So we'll put together a draft, and then it will definitely be approved. We're sort of way ahead of ourselves, but that is absolutely something that would happen.
Yeah, and it's a tough job you've got, because I have seen some things there that are astonishing to me as far as bad manners are concerned. So many of them you probably they might, I hope they're an anomaly and happen very, very seldom and don't even need to be mentioned. But I've gone over there and seen people sitting on graves, drinking beer in the afternoon. And that was one of the nicer things. So Tish, you have any comments?
My only comment is that I wouldn't want visitors to the cemetery, and especially funerals that may happen that day, disturbed by any of the groups of people walking around or the tours or anything. So I think your locations would have to stay pretty fluid, because we can't predict a year from now what will be happening that day. Maybe nothing,
Really?
possibly nothing, but 3 out of the 4 Sundays in October this year, we did have funerals. So I don't know.
Yeah,
And
we're
it's
very well
any
aware of
month,
that.
any
Yes,
month
thank you.
they have a funeral. I have a funeral this Sunday. So
Yeah.
yeah, Sundays are pretty popular days.
Rebecca, I see that are you going to ask a question?
No, I've heard, I've been impressed with what I've heard. So they've answered other questions at the Friends meeting. So I don't have any right now.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Leo?
Yeah.
Leo, it's Jerry. Hi, thanks. I appreciate that presentation. And I'm wondering, I've participated in, various outdoor events, kind of on the scale big to very, very small. So I'm wondering if you can kind of paint the picture of like how this would come off on the best possible day, a crisp, beautiful, early October day, bright sun, good publicity and a good turnout for the event. What does it look like? How many people? What is happening? You didn't say anything about a stage or music. We've talked about that one activity where people are going to be looking around for specific things as they explore. But I'm wondering, if you could just paint a broader picture for me.
Well, surely I can start. The easy part to answer is no, there will be no stage, there'll be no music. Okay. The important thing is for us to get the word out, one, a bit selfishly here, about the Friends of Sleepy Hollow, that we are active, we're doing something. We've been around for a healthy number of years. And our focal point, obviously, is the cemetery in town. We would make a very special invite to those folks who have been our consistent donors. And they are out there. They are in strong number. And we would make a very special invitation to them that they consider being coming into the cemetery that day, etc. We would have some notification, as we did for the Hanley dedication, the Hanley Commemorative Garden. We would have some notification in the local press and on the social media, hoping to attract some folks who might say, gee, maybe I ought to go and see that. Very difficult to predict on a Sunday afternoon, and as the scene described it, Mr. Susi, in terms of what kind of a turnout we would get. But even if we got a considerable number of our supporters, we would be heartily satisfied with that, because it would give them a chance to be recognized and to take part in any activities. And then allowing people, the protocol that Priscilla has showed you, to be able to stroll the cemetery, for us to say something and the public comments about the cemetery, its significance, and then to get people to come back again, to have brief comments about the importance of the Hanley Commemorative Garden, because Mr. Hanley, was such a central figure in the beautification of that cemetery, in which we've been able to continue through the efforts of non-paid volunteers to beautify that area. We did spend some money on refurbishing it, but we're very proud of it. As well as we are of the 2 flagpoles in the cemetery that we support, again, by volunteers planting and weeding and doing whatever they can. So I don't know if that answers your question. I'd invite my colleagues to join in with anything, but that's kind of the, if you will, a vision of what I have of it anyway.
So it sounds like a member event, or kind of a targeted event, rather than a town-wide event, I guess.
No, I didn't mean to imply that. No, what I did intend to mean is that we would make a special invite to our supporters to attend, but certainly will be open to the town by all means. Yeah, we think it's that important. And as I said earlier, it's one of the facets of the 20th celebration, the other one being the town-wide mailing, which we think will give people, may inspire people to say, I'd like to learn a bit more about the cemetery or about the Friends, and maybe the coming to such a program, such an event might be worthwhile.
All right, so I'm still just trying to get a handle on, like, is it a group of 20, 30, 40 people, or 100 or 200 people, or thousands upon thousands? I was involved in the early Pig and Pepper festivals, and we shut down Carlisle. So just wondering about what you envision for this, what's
Priscilla?
possible.
So I would say, Jerry, that it's impossible for us to know, but given events in the past that have been publicized, et cetera, we're definitely talking about under 100 people. I'd be shocked if we got more than, if it was a gorgeous day, maybe, but it's unlikely. Definitely under 100.
Well, I mean, I was hoping to hear more like 1,000, but I mean, because I personally,
No.
I mean, anything to promote death awareness in any facet is, there's parts of this program that I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
Just the basic idea. But
I'm not really sure what I'm basing this opinion on, quite frankly, but
here,
I can't imagine.
yeah, so you're not seeking to turn out 1,000. So I got you.
No.
Very helpful. Appreciate it.
Okay, any other
Leo,
questions or comments?
Leo, may I ask just a comment, a few questions, follow up? Leo?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay, thank you. Well, Kevin and Priscilla and Nancy, thank you very much for your presentation. It's it's very, very impressive, everything that the Friends do. And as a contributor to your effort, I heartily support all your efforts. I do just want to make sure I have some factual information here upon which to base my expectations in council. So, for example, what was the attendance at the original rededication of the Melvin Memorial? What size? How many people showed up for that? Ballpark estimate. Remember?
That was a cemetery run event, not Friends of.
It wasn't ours.
So
Okay,
we
but
we don't have that information.
I'm trying to get a sense. The reason why I'm asking the question is I'm trying to get a sense of how 100 to 200 people would be gathered and dispersed around the Melvin Memorial site. Because as my understanding is, at least from what Kevin had presented, you're going to start by gathering people at the Melvin Memorial, and you'll have a speech. And there'll be some, and then they'll be dispersed. They'll be dispersed primarily by, I guess, using the bingo game and maybe some additional maps, and inviting people to look around the cemetery. And then they will be instructed to gather again at the Hanley Memorial. And if I understood you correctly, Kevin, there's going to be some statements made there at that time?
Just to reaffirm the significance of the Hanley Garden, yes.
Okay,
Very
so,
brief.
okay, I understand. So 100 to 200 people in front of the Melvin Memorial, 100 to 200 people at the Hanley Memorial, if everybody stays. Okay, I'm just trying to get a sense for the size of the crowd and the potential impact on the grounds and that sort of thing, and also the challenges that one might have with a crowd of that size at the Hanley Memorial. Getting people to follow appropriate cemetery etiquette. I mean, maybe there'd need to be some temporary some guidance. Some folks from the Friends might be guiding people as to here's an appropriate path to take, as opposed to walking across these potential graves. Is that basically the scope or the scale of this event that you have in mind?
Yes.
Excuse me,
Priscilla,
Leo, may
I
speak
think,
to,
I think that saying 100 to 2.
excuse me. Leo, may I speak to what Rod's been, getting at? I can tell you,
Yeah.
Rod, I went briefly to the cemetery website, cemetery committee website, but I came back. There's a video of the whole ceremony, and it includes panning of the crowd. I was there for the entire event, adjacent to the tent. I'm going to say that there were somewhere between 150 and 300 people at that. And that included invited guests parking in the same kind of scheme that was described, using the church parking lot, et cetera. So the specifics are out there.
Okay, great.
My own experience, for what it's worth, it was not overwhelming. I mean, I think Tish could speak more directly to what was needed to kind of set up for that and clean up after it. So just thought I'd mention that since you brought it up.
Yeah. I was at it too, and it's interesting. You say that you thought there were 150 to 300. I didn't think it was anywhere near that much. I thought my guess was going to be about 50, and they were invited family members and also members of the military. But if you've got a video that shows 300 people, I'm going to have to take a look at that, because that was not my memory at all.
I would have guessed around 75.
Okay.
I would guess around 75.
Yeah, and it was so well advertised. I mean, it was in the paper, and a lot of people knew about it, and there were a lot of invited guests. So I can't imagine the Friends getting 300 people. I'd be shocked. I mean, just incomprehensible to me. I think if you get 80, you're going to be doing good.
75 was completely manageable.
So
When we did the Hanley dedication, the best recall I have, because we were distributing water, and I think my guesstimate of that was probably 75 to 80 people. There were invited family members, and they numbered maybe 15. And the rest were people who saw it in the newspaper. At that point, we didn't have specific invitations going out. I think we're going to look very carefully at inviting certain people who have been mainly our donors over the past year. I'm repeating myself here, but the bottom line is we probably had somewhere between 75 and 80 people who stood. If you know the Hanley Garden's a little bit set back off that roadway in front of it, who stood on the roadway. And we did have a tent at that one, but our intent is not to have one this time.
Also,
I don't know if that helps.
I just had a thought, if you don't mind. One thing we could do is to combine a guided tour with a bingo game, so that people, if there are any concerns about people wandering off too far or near any kind of funeral or any other event in the cemetery that day, they could be checking off their bingo cards as somebody took them on a tour, and we could work with Tish as to the areas that day.
Good. Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah. I personally don't see this as a very disruptive or actually unusual thing. I live across the street, and I see these big buses that have 50 people in them, 2 of them at a time go in there, and that is not unusual during the summer to see 50, 100 people just walking around out of the tour buses. So this, I understand the concerns, but I don't want to make a big deal out of this, speculating that there'll be a huge crowd. I don't think you're going to get more than, it's just my best guess, but I don't think you can get more than 80 people. I'm going to be surprised if you do. And so I guess, Aaron, I'd like to ask you a question. What is the next thing that we do on this? We don't have to take a vote or anything like that, I would imagine.
I think you need to take a vote. I did see I got an email, it was forwarded to me. There's a official request use of town property permit, I believe that I saw on file, and that'll go to a group of individuals, public officials from various departments. I'm included on that list representing Public Works for those type of permit reviews. And we'll review the permit and then determine what kind of support from the town will be needed. So examples of support are public works support, police department for details or traffic control. You know, for larger events, they might have an EMT there or something like that. And the town will provide, you know, us as department division managers provide comment back to the townhouse, deputy town manager then kind of reviews the permit and then approves it or follows up with the group. So that would be the process for that, I think.
Aaron, if I could just, Aaron, could I just jump in? One of the items on that second page is insurance, and we are investigating right now to get 1 day coverage for the event. I presume that's what that item means on that second page. Am I correct in that?
Yes. So if you were to get, you know, a policy that lists the town as a kind of dual insured, and that covers everything that might be, you know, that might be needed for the event.
Okay, thank you.
But again, Aaron, my question, the committee doesn't have to do anything on this as far as voting or any type of formal motion. Is that correct?
I don't believe so. You know, if you want to, you know, do it as a form of support, and that way I can, or, you know, either way, I will follow up with once the, you know, to the group on the permit to the town and let them know that there was a discussion here and, you know, that the committee is in support of the event, or if the committee's not in support of the event, you know, I'd let them know either way. So,
Leo, I think we should have a motion and to support the event, and I'm prepared to make that motion. And then even if it's not a binding motion, it's a statement of support for the event.
Yeah.
Okay, does someone want to second that?
I'll second that.
Okay,
Jerry?
so now what I've managed to do is get myself off the list here. So, okay, so let's take a vote. Brian Davidson.
In favor, aye.
Good. Rebecca Purcell.
In favor.
Jerry Susi.
Aye.
Rod Rydell.
Aye.
Leo Carroll. Aye. We got it. Stunning victory. Okay, Kevin, God bless you. You did a good job on driving this issue forward. Now we know where we stand and feel good about it. So just continue to keep us informed.
By all means. I just want, you know, I stick to detail. Does that mean that we're okay to advertise in our mailing coming up in 2 to 3 weeks, the date of Sunday, 2 October 2022? Or do we need to wait, hopefully it would be soon, for the permit application to be approved? I just need a yes or no on that, since I'm writing the letter.
Well, I'm going to say that it's Aaron's call because he's going to be the one in charge of getting these permits or making sure they're authorized. Is that correct, Aaron?
yeah, Kevin, if it's okay, maybe I can give you a call tomorrow once I get a status update on this, on the permit.
Thank you, sir. That would be perfect. Thank you very much.
All right.
Good. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's been always a good pleasure to sit with you. And stay tuned. There are many more things that will be part of our 20th celebration. We'll keep you right on target with it.
Thank you. You guys did all the work. Now, you're welcome to sit. We're going to have a committee members' comments and then the public comments, and then this meeting will be over. So,
well, with due respect, the cocktail hour is approaching.
Okay. All right. All right. Hey, don't worry about our feelings. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, and I actually was able to pull up the agenda. So the next item, D3, is committee comments relative to issues contained in this agenda or feedback received from residents since the last meeting. And so Do any of the committee members want to make a comment? Jerry, I see you got your hand raised.
Please, yeah, thank you. I just wanted to bring something to folks' attention that came across my desk just the other day. I am a member of the Funeral Consumers Alliance of Eastern Massachusetts. So this is their recent newsletter. But there were two things that I thought I just wanted to kind of get on the record. One is that there is now a bill in committee pertaining to two additional death care options, natural organic reduction being one, and alkaline hydrolysis being the other. Natural organic reduction, we would call it composting. And alkaline hydrolysis is known as water cremation. The proposed regulations are modeled after, or the proposed, whatever it is, are modeled after what passed in Washington State. There's actually a hearing coming up in about a week, but it's a pretty low bill on the docket, so who knows how long it's going to take for that. The other is just one of the things that the Funeral Consumers Alliance does is a survey of the funeral industry, funeral homes prices, and there's about 50 of them statewide that they have data on. But they're reporting here on a survey this past summer of the Funeral Consumers Alliance nationally and the Consumer Federation of America about state by state ease of access consumer information to funeral information. And Massachusetts was rated, scored an F, rated amongst the worst. So, one of the things that we deal with in the committee, or certainly that Tish deals with on a day-to-day basis, are the funeral consumers. I mean, the people that are actually using these services. So I just wanted to kind of bring those to y'all's attention. A lot of this kind of stuff comes across my desk. I'd be one of the 100 people going to this thing that the Friends are putting on. But putting on anything associated with death is kind of a hard sell.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I didn't understand what you said. Massachusetts got an F because of what?
It's difficult for consumers in Massachusetts to easily access information that would help them as consumers in making decisions about funeral services.
Okay.
And access to that information has a lot to do with how the funeral industry is regulated in each state and what the funeral industry chooses to do to release information. If, for example, I mentioned their survey of funeral homes, there's 47 on the list. That's statewide. And 2 in Acton, 1 in Arlington. Everything else is fairly distant to us. So it's the kind of information that's difficult to come across as a consumer. To our credit, to Concord's credit, I mean, that information is readily accessible, easy to understand right there on the website. But that's the exception, not the rule.
Okay.
I had a question, Leo, but not maybe just on our last meeting, just the Greatest Cemetery, we had approved them to do some video. I'm just wondering, did they show up? How was it? Was it successful? I don't know if Tish, if you were able to talk with them or watch them at all or anything like that, but just curious how that all worked out.
Was here on the Columbus Day holiday, so I wasn't here. So he was kind of on his own, but I did see him. He was actually back the next day. I found him on Author's Ridge. So he said that they had a successful day, and he was interested in finding out more about the what's his name, Mark, I can't think of his last name, but the filming people that we added to our list just last year, that we added to our map at the request of the family. So I was able to put him in touch with the family because he wanted to kind of do a little highlight of them. So I put him in touch with that family, but he said it was a success and he'd keep us apprised of when we would be featured, but it'd be sometime next year.
Cool, great, thank you.
Other comments? Ron.
Yes, I have a couple of follow-ups and a couple of other topics of questions. So first, just to let you know, I went on a Concord, the Garden Club of Concord sponsored a tour of Sleepy Hollow this past week. There were approximately a dozen, maybe 14 members going through. And I just wanted to check, Tish, did they actually apply for a permit from you?
No,
I'll follow up with them on that. And
not necessarily issue permits just for tours. We do like to know they're coming because more than once I've had to stop a tour because we have a funeral going on and they're not usually happy about it because they're in a time crunch, but nothing we can do about that. I do encourage them to call ahead. So I have it on the calendar, and if we do get a funeral, I'll let them know to either adjust their time of arrival or their route.
not contacted. Okay, I'll follow up with the Garden Club. The next topic is just a question again for Tish. I noticed as one comes in from Pritchard Gate, there's a wonderful map that's sort of posted there with a wonderful set of descriptors of the sites that are numbered on the map. But I was not able to locate an electronic copy of that on the cemetery website. Is it there, and is it just that I'm not able to find it?
It's not there.
Is there any reason not to put it onto the website?
Yeah, somebody has to do it.
I don't know how.
No, well, we're talking about you, Justine. That's
Which map is it, Rod?
I will take a photograph
I
the
can
next
send
time
it to
I'm in, and I okay. But I think it'd be very useful because right now all I can find on our cemetery site is like this self-guided tour, which is wonderful, for use. But sometimes people like to print out a map and refer to it, and so the map and the information on the second page, I think would be very nice, to have a website. So if you can post it, that would be great. And then I came across an article from a previous town meeting, which was requesting $150,000 for roadway repair, in the cemetery. And it occurred to me, again, these are rookie questions, so I apologize. But is there a record? I'm sure we have a record of all the times that the cemetery was the subject of articles requesting special funding. And is there some place that I can get to that? Again, I'm looking for more ammunition to put into grant proposals. So is that somewhere or do I just manually go through the town meeting reports and just review the last 10 years, which I can do. I
think special funding, if you're referring to CPC funding requests, there was some CPC funding that was awarded to the cemetery for the roadway improvement project, stormwater drainage infrastructure improvements. If you go to the CPC webpage under the town website, it lists quite a few years of past applications and awarded projects.
Okay.
If you want information beyond that, maybe you can talk offline and I can try to.
Okay. Well, if it's not being kept in a common file, and that's quite understandable, I'll just go through the town meetings and see if there are any warrants or articles, over the last 10 years that specifically highlight the cemetery. And Tish is saying, nope, no, there isn't. Okay.
There's 2 years for the CPA money or CPC money for roadway. The last time we had any kind of a large expenditure would have been probably, I don't know when the money became available, but 96, 97, prior to opening the new section.
Okay. Then just the last thing is to give fellow committee members sort of an update, continuing to work with Leo on looking at sites that will be targets for 2022 preventative maintenance and vegetation restoration and erosion control. We did go and visit a Concord resident, Bruce Kohler, who showed us some native plants and that he had been growing in his garden, and gave us some very useful suggestions about what we might think about putting into areas with very steep grades. So we're gathering this information and putting it into some kind of a document that is easy to present and easy to refer to. And we'll get that drafted. And once we have a draft, we'll review it with Tish and Erin, and then come to the whole committee for a more complete review and discussion. So still making some progress, slow, but we're moving along.
Find out any more about the Rupture Wart?
What's that?
I do have information about the Rupture Wart. Yeah, that is
It's real.
it's real, and it's at the garden at the Concord Junction in West Concord, and yeah, there's a big patch of it, and it grows like a carpet. I mean, and it was growing in a reasonably heavily shaded area, so it looked like a good candidate for some of the challenging areas that we're looking at, and so we'll see. But it seems to be a very resilient plant. But there's a lot of those kinds of species that we can use in certain sections of the cemetery to restore the vegetation. We'll see.
Rod, if I may, I would just state that if there's going to be 2 or more cemetery committee members meeting to discuss official cemetery related business, there needs to be a subcommittee formed and meeting posted and minutes taken and reported back to the committee on an official basis. So yeah, I'm happy to discuss that further with you tomorrow or offline if you have any questions specifically on that process.
Okay. All I've been doing is gathering information, not actually no action plan. The only time I discuss potential actions is here at the committee. So I think my behavior's been in compliance with the.
Yeah. That's fine. I just know that we have like a similar subcommittee with David and Jerry right now, looking at, anytime that they meet officially, they reach out to Justine. They put together a quick agenda and we post it, and just so, just to cover our bases. I think they discussed some of those at the governance meeting on Saturday. So that's why I encourage any committee members to attend that meeting.
Okay.
Hear that information from the town clerk's office directly.
Okay. Thanks, Aaron.
Okay, are there any other committee members who want to make a comment? Okay, then the next item is, are there any members of the public that want to make a comment? Oh, Linda Escondido, you're not a member of the public, you're the town committee.
Well, I'm always, I just want to fit in with your protocol here.
Okay, all right.
So thank you everyone for letting me speak, and thank you for all you're doing. As Aaron pointed out, I think if you can at all find the time on Saturday morning to attend the governance training, I think you'll find it very helpful. And there are a number of issues that come up across town committees that will be helpful for you to hear. And then the other thing is as a member of the select board, I did receive the communication that your committee sent and that Brian had written for the committee. And so thank you for that. And I'm sure my colleagues received it as well. I wrote back to both Brian and Leo and pointed out that it would probably be important for you at the monthly chairs meeting to be sure to point out some of the content that you put in that letter, because then that would reach the ears of all the committees in town. So that's my only comment. Thank you for all you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Okay, with that, assuming there's no more comments, I'm about to announce that we're going to adjourn, and someone help me through this. So do I have to have a vote on whether we adjourn or not? I think we do. Yeah. So who wants to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second,
Who wants to second it?
Rod did.
I
Right.
did. Yeah.
Okay, so are we gonna have to take a vote to do this? Okay. Brian Davidson,
Aye.
Jerry Susi,
Aye.
Rebecca Purcell,
Aye.
Rod Rydell,
Aye.
Leo Carroll. Hey, listen, it's 5:16 and we got till 5:30. So if you guys don't want, okay, I agree. Aye.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much. And we're